Hi guys, this is Klazart bringing another audio commentary, and this time I'm commentating on Game 3 of the best of 3 matchup between Jaedong and Best. This is the quarterfinals of the Korean World Cyber Games qualifiers, and it's being played on Andromeda. The winner of this will go through to the semi-finals. So this is a big match for both of these players, because remember, the top 3 qualify through to the next round. So if you can get through this round, it's going to be huge, because it just means that you only need to win one more game potentially out of your next 2 games to qualify. It's been a seesaw battle between these two players. They've been both fast and furious games. Neither player has really been tested to their limit in either of the games. Jaedong with a very clever move in Game 1 and a not so clever move in Game 2. So far it really has been Jaedong who has largely dictated the play of the matchup, although Best did have great defenses in place, and really I thought that Best's defenses were a little bit over the top, but clearly he had scouted Jaedong's build and had an inkling of what Jaedong would be going for, and he was fully prepared for it with his 3 photon cannons and his 2 zealots and dragoons, and really he just about held his defense in the end with just the 1 photon cannon surviving, and that's after he built 2 additional, or attempted to build 2 additional photon cannons as he saw Jaedong's attack approaching. This time it looks like we've got cross map positions. It is being played on Andromeda. Andromeda is a map that again I feel favors a Protoss player, so Jaedong will probably look to try and take maximum advantage, while the Protoss player can be a little bit tentative on this match, on this map. And if Best chooses to play tentatively, then it will be up to Jaedong to try and spread across the map and take advantage. As I said, this is a map that it can be tough for the Zerg player to win on. This is the map that Best gave July the most difficulty on, although he did make a few critical errors in that game and lost out. And really it took July playing some pretty tremendous and stunning StarCraft to close out the win on this game. Looks like Jaedong is at the top left-hand corner playing Zerg again, Best at the bottom right-hand corner. As I said, cross-map positions. Looks like Jaedong has taken his min-only expansion to start with, not going for his natural expo, perhaps worried that he cannot afford to be delayed by his opponent. Although this is a little bit of a mistake, I feel, because now the result of it is that the probe will arrive. By now Jaedong's expansion would have gone up, and now the probe will arrive, and potentially Best has an opportunity to put a pylon down or to slow Jaedong down even further and slow Jaedong down from getting that natural expo going and therefore getting that second gas. Jaedong looks like he's gone for a 12 hatch into spawning pool build. Best meanwhile has put that forge up, just scouting Jaedong's base. He's seen the min-only expo, so I think he's going to go straight for the Nexus now. He's not going to waste 150 minerals on the photon cannon. It looks like Best is ready to put down his Nexus. And again, Best has consistently scouted very early, and Best indeed is going to set that Nexus down. Best has consistently scouted very early on in this matchup, throughout this matchup, and I think he even did that versus July, though it didn't necessarily pay as good dividends for him as it might have. But certainly he's scouted as soon as he's put his pylon down, he sent that scout out. Now Jaedong trying to take his min-only expo, and again, because he chose to not take his natural expo, because he chose to take his min-only initially, he's now having trouble getting this expo down. Best doing a good job of harassing him, and Jaedong actually forced to retreat with that drone. He's going to bring a second drone out to try and help the first drone ferret that probe away, and Jaedong really being slowed down in a way that he almost getting the hatchery down, cancelled yet again by Best. Best doing a great job of microing and harassing Jaedong. Finally Jaedong managed to get that down, so Best gaining a few seconds. Really, these little gains make all the difference when it comes to winning or losing in a matchup like this. Jaedong's got his spawning pool up, but he hasn't produced any Zerglings to usher that probe away, and I really feel on a map like Andromeda, it really would pay huge dividends to deny your opponent the scout, to deny your opponent the information. Jaedong's now got a couple of Zerglings out, probably to try and chase that drone away, the probe away, and try and take his ramp. Meanwhile, Best has started up his gateway as well as a photon cannon, and his Nexus should be coming up soon, and he's pulled his probe back. So Best has made all the right moves early on in this game, and really he's looking assured, he's looking confident. He defended well after the psychological hit that he would have taken after Game 1. He's really responded quite well from it. Jaedong looks like he's now started his tech to lair. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to get rid of that probe that continues to scout within his base, and Best doing a great job of keeping that probe alive and continue to scout in Jaedong's base and continue to get that information on Jaedong's tech. Jaedong's natural expo just about to start, just about to get up now. So this is going to be an interesting game. Looks like we're both players, neither player springing a surprise, neither player trying anything outrageous. The cross-map positions obviously would have made it that little bit more difficult. Both players have got reasonable scouting information on each other. Jaedong has to know that Best has gone for the fast expansion. Best knows exactly what Jaedong is doing. Best probably with more accurate and up-to-date information on Jaedong's build, and that probably gives him that little bit of an edge, a little bit of advantage, also considering the fact that he did slow Jaedong down from getting that natural expo down. Jaedong now producing a few more Zerg Zergling's really keen to try and get rid of that probe out of his base, and it's important he does that. And Best continuing to still keep alive. He's finally going to be ushered out of his base just as Jaedong's lair comes up, and it's important for Jaedong that he doesn't allow that probe to circle back around and get back into his lair, so he can hide his tech from Best, so that he can force Best to make a mistake or two, or at least try and do some guesswork. You can't just allow your opponent to have complete information. Jaedong slowly but surely maneuvering Best's probe into a corner, finally managed to take it out. Best meanwhile has got a Zealot out of his gateway. He's now starting up his robotics facility. I'm sure his Stargate has also been started, although we haven't seen it yet in his base. It'll be interesting to see whether or not that Stargate is up. And looks like Jaedong, it'll be interesting whether Jaedong puts the Spire first. I think you would probably see a Spire go down straight away for Jaedong. Jaedong looks like he's putting his 4th hatchery down, and his Spire is actually in his natural expo, so he obviously didn't want Best to scout the Spire. And it's well played by Jaedong, because really, he didn't allow Best's probe to actually get down from the ramp and scout that Spire, although Best did have an opportunity. I think Best should have guessed that if he didn't see anything in Jaedong's main, that Jaedong's tech buildings would likely have been in his natural expo, but he didn't try and scout that. So he doesn't know that Jaedong has probably gone straight for Spire, though he probably has a good guess at a Dragoon coming out from Best, just try and get rid of that Overlord, that pesky Overlord that's just been there from Jaedong scouting in. First Corsair out for Best as well, so he's not. And Jaedong, meanwhile, it looks like he's gone for the 9 o'clock expo as well. Slightly risky by Jaedong, considering the fact that his opponent is going to scout it probably with that Corsair, but I suppose it is not too much of a risk, because Jaedong realizes that since Best has gone for this build, now is his chance to really expand and get his economy going before Best can really get that Reaver Sair build going. But really, if you're a Zerg player, you really want to avoid allowing your opponent from getting that Reaver Sair build up and running. Jaedong looks like he's actually bringing his Overlords together rather than dispersing them, just coming under fire from one of the Corsairs. The Spire is up, so we should see Scourges coming out very soon. It'll be interesting to see Hydrostatic also going for Jaedong. It'll be interesting whether or not Jaedong can actually, and Jaedong managed to lose one. Jaedong with 6 Scourges popping out straight away, going for Mass Scourge, wants to take the initiative away from his opponent, wants to get air superiority on this map, doesn't want to allow Best air superiority, and that's key, especially since Best looks like he's going for a Reaver Sair build. It'll be absolutely key for Jaedong to try and take, and the Corsair, if Jaedong can take it out, this is going to be huge for him, and the Corsair is going to come in within range of the photon cannons, and Jaedong is forced to pull back, so Best saves his Corsairs. I think Best has now got about 3 Corsairs there. Jaedong's going to, again, trying to come in with the Scourges, try and find an avenue of attack. He does manage to get the scout in. Meanwhile, Best has got the robotics support bay up as well. Looks like he's upgrading air attack, I would guess, in his Cybernetic score. Jaedong putting out another hatchery in his mid-only expo. So Jaedong hasn't really inflicted too much damage on Best, and Best is going to be able to get up that critical mass of Corsairs. He didn't really... It's key if you can catch that 1st or 2nd Corsair off guard by surprise with the Scourges and take them out. But Best, obviously having had that punishment dealt out to him by July once already, is not going to be... is much more prepared for it this time, is not going to give it so easy to Jaedong. And looks like Jaedong is sort of doing exactly what July tried to do in that game versus Best. Best now has got his... Jaedong trying to take out one of the squad, and Jaedong manages to take one of the Corsairs out. Careless by Best, leaving the Corsair just above his main, and Jaedong with 2 Scourges inside Best's main managed to kill that Corsair, and that's going to slow Best down that little bit more from getting that build up and running. And really, once a Protoss gets the Reaver Sair build going, it can be incredibly difficult to challenge. And Jaedong takes out another Corsair. Really careless micro by Best, and you can just see Best grimace and puff out his cheeks and just sigh to himself. He's not at all pleased with his performance here. He's down to 3 Corsairs still when he should have had 5, really carelessly losing 2 Corsairs. Jaedong looks like he's got a couple of Hydralisks, so Jaedong looks like he is doing what July did, using a combination of Hydralisks and Scourges to maintain air control. Another key thing here is if you can get Burrow, because this is such a large map with a lot of maneuverability and with the cross map positions, Burrow would be really useful for Jaedong to have those Zerglings in position so he can see the shuttle with the Reaver coming and therefore intercept it with his Scourges if he can plan that. Jaedong, Best meanwhile also starting up that Citadel Vado, and he needs to get that Templar Archives down, he feels. And Jaedong indeed has gotten the Burrow. Jaedong and I seem to be thinking on parallel lines, and really on a map like this, Burrow can be such a critical feature, that scouting information that you can get without your opponent realizing it, especially since we haven't seen a observatory go down for Best. He's not going to be aware of those burrowed Zerglings, because he hasn't, even if he had a single observer out and he saw even one burrowed Zergling, it would make him a lot more aware, a lot more, and Jaedong is much more likely to be able to catch that shuttle of Best with the Scourges. Jaedong once again getting another couple of Scourges in, hoping to catch, and Jaedong has done this consistently. He hasn't just been scouting with those Scourges, he's been consistently sending those Scourges towards the Stargate to try and catch the Corsairs as they pop out, and he has done a good job so far. Jaedong now with a couple of Hydralisks and an Overlord just below Best, just north of Best's mineral in the expo. Best obviously aware that he's putting a couple of photon cannons down to defend just in case Jaedong tries something sneaky with a drop, but Best really hasn't put any pressure on Jaedong thus far, and this first harass from Best is going to be critical. He needs to go and do some damage to Jaedong's economy. He can't allow Jaedong to flourish indefinitely. It looks like Best is now ready to make his move. Jaedong obviously with the Bird Zerglings, and I wonder if that Bird Zergling might... No, it's not actually, and I was wondering wondering for a second if it might have been too close, and once the photon cannon went up, if it would have been, but Jaedong's not going to make any such mistake. Meanwhile, 3 gateways going off, more gateways going off for Best, and he's also got his Temple Archives just now finished, but Best really needs to lay some hurt on Jaedong. Jaedong is going to have exact information on where Best is coming from. He's seeing the Best's forces heading towards, looks like his min only or the 9 o'clock expo. Jaedong has got a Spire up as well, and he ushers those coursers away, and meanwhile Jaedong intercepts the shuttle. Best just wants to cry. He had no idea of the burrowed Zerglings, and Jaedong killed the shuttle with the Reaver in, and I think it was only the one Reaver, though he might have had time to pop a second Reaver out because the first Reaver was sitting in there for quite some time, and that is a body blow to Best. He's just been knocked off his feet. He's lying on the ground. He's got to pick himself up here. He's got to wipe the blood off his face from that punch from Jaedong, and Best now his course is coming in front with a